All right, guys. What is it? September 1st. We're into September already. We started this back in January, February, and we've been rolling with these Tuesday sessions. They've went well. They're recorded. We're in a period of awesome volatility that started a couple Thursdays ago. Trading Volatility Part 2. I got the idea of reaching out to a broker who's been kind of a friend to me only because I've respected that he's reached out to try to educate himself. Most brokers, as you guys know, are salesmen, and that's it. It doesn't matter if they're selling shoes, insurance, and they happen to be selling trading accounts, and that's the way that they approach it. They don't have a market awareness. They don't know what traders go through. They can't, therefore, provide help, but yet they open up trading accounts. That's most of the broker industry. And then if you get real cheap rates, you get what you pay for. You try to call to get some service, and you know what you get. Now, I'm not begrudging anybody that looks for low rates. I mean, low rates fit some people. But I like guys who have a little bit of awareness and know what traders go through. And I would say over 90% of brokers have no idea about markets, and yet they're selling and opening up trading accounts. Andrew's been a lot different. He's been through the edge, actually. He's wanted to learn as much as he can. He's got a long standing in this business. He's at Daniels Trading, but I'm not, and we're not looking. If you guys want to talk to him, that's fine, but this isn't a sales pitch for people to go open an accounts with him. If you want to, fine, reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with him. But that's not what this is for. I thought about mid last week and I reached out to him. I said, it'd be interesting to kind of just ask questions and have a conversation. And I said, well, why don't I just make it a Tuesday session? So I was going to call him and ask these same questions on the phone. I figured let's just do it as part of a class. And that is, how does this volatility affect a broker and what he looks for? You know, could he find clues and different things? So I think that it'll be a pretty good class. If there's a trade or the market's moving, we're going to kind of keep it short. Not going to stop this class, but you could stop. You know, it's recorded. It'll be posted in a few hours. Just don't forget, markets are moving. Keep your powder dry. I can't say it enough in the trading room. Can't say it enough in these classes. Just like a broker is kind of watching his book of business and his customers and his traders, if I was your risk manager, and I'm not, but if I was, be damn certain their eyes are burned on the screen, the risk managers, to make sure guys are handling volatility well. And they don't have extreme, volatility or managing risk isn't just about isn't about lost money. It's about having big gains wiped away too intraday. So you could be up a few grand and then you're down. That's an alert for a risk manager. Now, no money was lost net, but boy, that could be psychological damaging to that trader, and the risk manager could find a marker to say, hey, settle down, because the next kind of sequence of trades could put him down 300 or 400 ticks. So it's not just losses. It's also the winners you got to manage. So, again, Andrew has been, let me enable his mic. We did a sound check earlier. He's out of Daniels Trading. Andrew, real quick, let's just do a sound check. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can everybody else hear him? All right, everybody else seems like they can hear you also.
Okay, good.
You've been doing this for how long with Daniels?
Knocking on the door for 9 years, come this 2016, so just over 8.5 years here at Daniels.
All of them with Daniels then, right?
Yep, I got my start here in the industry, and it's been a good firm, and stayed here ever since.
You guys aren't, I would say, you guys are pretty well known, right? And you just kind of merged with, who was it again?
Well, we've always been a brokerage firm, full service kind of arrangement, or working with brokers here. We have a strong agricultural side. Our firm founder, Andy Daniels, still is a large grain trader, fundamental grain trader, and that kind of background of working in the grain industry, has a lot of commercial agricultural companies, so that's kind of in the late 90s, pretty much exclusively what they did. Then they got into kind of the retail online futures trading, early 2000, and kind of, have a split fill between a lot of commercial and agricultural firms as well as a lot of self-directed broker-assisted traders. And then recently, this past last year, Gain Capital, who's a large Forex dealer, publicly traded company, bought a 55% stake in our firm because they wanted to grow their future side of the business. They like our management structure, our technology, and just kind of they tapped us to be their futures, kind of the head of their futures division.
One thing I realized is talking to customers, and I couldn't have told you this a few years ago because I didn't talk to a lot of retail traders, but when there's a big difference between like a retail shop and service, and people take it for granted, they don't always get a hold of their broker, whether it's an email or a phone call. You have a lot of, or some, full service guys, and then you have self-directed, right? Is that the way your book operates? You got self-directed guys that you don't talk too much, then you got more full service guys that you're always giving your opinion to?
Yeah, that's correct. I'd like to, leverage my experience. Obviously, as I'm getting more experienced in doing this, the first few years, I wouldn't even really feel comfortable giving my opinion or anyone really listening to me. So I was mainly just providing the tools and resources that people needed to trade. And then, as you mentioned, how I've kind of worked with you and gone through the edge and kind of found my voice and opinions in the markets, I've been more comfortable working with people that find value in at least having someone that they can talk to. I'm not saying all I do is provide trade recommendations, but it's a soundboard, it's a team aspect for those types of clients that either don't want to just be alone in front of the screen all day, or they don't have the ability to, or they like the fact that I can monitor a lot of different markets at the levels that we discuss on, and then reach out to them if those start getting hit, and then creating a plan.
What are the differences in phone calls you'll get when the markets get crazy like they had about a week and a half ago, where the mainstream media starts, it's just more and more people know what the heck's going on because the markets get volatile. Is there a different phone call you get from prospective customers and existing customers?
Yeah, I think, the main active accounts, nothing really changes in terms of the phone calls that we have. We see what's taking place. We talk about managing risk. We try to see where we are margin-wise and what's going on in the overnight to try to avoid any potential traps with what we're seeing, this volatility we're seeing in the overnight. So we're trying to, be nimble of that. I think the retail guy that has an account that doesn't do much, or a prospect, will start asking for their logins again, will start wanting to get access to our materials, or just start asking superficial questions on what do you think it's going to happen, are we the bottom, just kind of late to the party, not really into it, but sees the headlines and is intrigued. So I like the fact that people are getting interested off of it, but it's tough to say if they'll take any action or what their real motivations are.
Because you get paid on people's activity. You obviously want them to be diligent and to be good and to manage their risk, because Daniels is ultimately on the hook. But brokers essentially don't get paid if someone just opens an account and it's idle, right?
Yeah, I think, that's the number one thing that when clients come on board, they're like, well, win or lose, you still make money. That's correct. But, in terms of self-directed accounts, the rates are so competitive and the margins are so low that, we just want you around. We want you to be successful. I want to work with people that I'm comfortable with and can have a relationship with. If you're completely self-directed and you don't want to have a relationship with me, that's fine. It's more service type conversations from time to time. I try to reach out, let them know that I'm there if they ever want to talk about anything. But then there's the bad eggs who, want to push the envelope in terms of margin and go on margin call and load up on positions, and ignore our risk parameters, and those are the ones that are difficult to deal with, especially with all this volatility. They're the ones you have to really watch out for.
So are there markers though when you wake up Sunday into Monday, like a week ago, or it's kind of building to that, and then volatility? What are you looking at your book actively during the course of the session?
Yeah, I mean, I really, as you mentioned, I've gone through the coursework and the Edge, and that's because, and other programs that across the years, because I really like these markets. I want to be involved with them and not just bring an account in and forget about it. I'm always looking at the markets 24/7, whether I'm in the office or not, on my my smartphone app. First thing I do is I look in the morning and all through the night. I mean, I consciously have to do that because I know I have broker-assisted clients that I have to maintain, but I also know that there's a lot of self-directed clients on the books that if there's some extreme volatility, somebody's probably going to be on the right side and there's probably somebody going to be on the wrong side. So we do have a 24-hour desk who does a great job of, preventing those debit scenarios or someone needs to call and get a hold of somebody. But as you mentioned, I'm on the hook, or the firm is on the hook if someone gets too wild and gets blown out. Not talking just on the E-mini S&P, but crude oil or grain markets or markets that have limit moves. You might not be able to get out of a trade, so we got to be able to act on that in real time.
So they're markers. You're actively looking more at managing risk when there's more of it, and that's what volatility brings, right?
Absolutely. That's at that point when we have those volatility days where we're just swinging one way and then it catches everybody off guard. I mean, I'm not calling prospects. I'm not really even trying to, come up with new trading ideas as much as I'm trying to just manage my book, look and see what everyone has on, write some notes on who might be on the wrong side and what levels could really affect them, communicate that with our risk team, and kind of get a sense of where people are, and then so there's no snakes in the woodpile is something we like to say around here.
Snakes in the woodpile. Yeah, that's dangerous. Are there guys that in your client list or guys who are traders that you're always going to look at first? Probably,
yeah,
right? Because they swing, and they when they take big winners, they take big winners. But when they take big losses, they're pretty big, right? And so there's like the Cowboys, almost that you go and look at first.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actively try to sit here and just watch people trade, but a big thing when you bring a new account in terms of the compliance aspect is know your customer. Know who they are, where their money's from, and then kind of just how they trade. And that I take that to that next level when I'm used to seeing people on my book and I see something pop up that's not correct, or they let a stop work that triggered. I know this guy usually doesn't hold anything overnight. Why is he in this position? And it's a little bit bigger than he usually has. I'll know to contact him and say, hey, did you leave a GTC order out there that got hit on? And, that's just something just from monitoring the active guys and the traders and just kind of knowing your book. I mean, that's one of the number one things you need to do as a broker is know your book.
We spoke yesterday to kind of prepare for today. Volatility, I said to you, and you said pretty quickly the answer was yes. Does volatility with the guys that are your clients, is it fair to say volatility does not allow you to get away with bad habits?
Definitely not. I mean, there are some times where it can help someone create a bad habit where, something works out just out of luck. But, the guys that have in the past added to losers or not updating stops or looking to manage their trades properly, or the volatility can really, really kill you. You can give everything back that you've really worked hard to earn. But that being said, the volatility is one of the main reasons why we like this. It presents those opportunities. I know with a guy that I worked with, we had one of our better days in his account because of that. and a lot of other people did too. But when you say you have to be able to change your bias, and you can't be stubborn, and you can't, do it just for the winning aspect, I think that really hits really at home with these volatile days where, you just got to be nimble. You got to cut your size down, like you say. Don't overtrade. Don't just get in that choppiness. I mean, really get back to what you're looking for and your few indicators that you use to make sure when you're jumping on that trade, it's for the right reason and you're not just getting chopped up.
Over your 8 years, almost 9 years, most guys who they come in, they open a trading account. What's the sweet spot, the average size trading account first? Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I wouldn't say a sweet spot in terms of what's best to be successful, because it really doesn't matter how much money you have or how little money you have if you can trade disciplined. But anywhere from 20 to 50,000 is to me, like, I would say, if someone like a family member or a friend said, "Hey, I'm looking to start trading. What should I start with?" I'd say, if you have the money to do it, and you want to do it, that's the amount you should open your account with. From that point, decide how much you want to risk. If you only want to risk 5,000, if you only want to risk 10,000 in your trading, then that's the amount you draw the line in, and be disciplined to know that. But if you say I only want to risk 5,000 into trading, then I wouldn't say open a $5,000 account, because you draw down $2,500, that's 50%. Now you're trading 1-2 contracts on a $2,500 account. It's just you're not leveraged enough to do that. So that, in my opinion, where I'd say is kind of like a serious start, I guess, sweet spot, if you will. But by no means is it necessary that you have to have that much, or start with, if you have more, start with that little. It really all depends on the leverage that you're putting on and how you're holding your trades. If you're holding overnight, or if you're only day trading, what markets you're trading as well.
See, that's a good point that you make about, because I've always thought of that, and people think that they're going to open the account with what they're willing to risk, and you end up getting handcuffed and not having the leverage to trade because you started with everything, all your eggs. So even if you want to only risk 5,000, that doesn't mean open up a $5,000 account. And I've told people before, just because you open up a $30,000 account doesn't mean you're willing to risk 30. It's to give you the leverage, but the peace of mind that if you do lose a couple grand, it's not 35% of your account, and psychologically that's comforting. And this is a big psychological game. It means a lot. That's a tool that you either have or you don't have, and you're not giving yourself that tool. If you could fund an account with 20 or 30,000, but you're like, I only do 5, I want to risk 5. And you got to be disciplined. You can't be like, well, I don't trust myself. Might not be in the right business if you have a problem trusting yourself. You can be in the right business, but you're going to have to work on that you don't trust yourself moment. And so I liked hearing that, because it goes right to what I've talked to people about. They always think they got to open up the account with what they want to risk. Would you say that when those people come, now you've been at Daniels they do a lot of retail business, correct?
Yeah.
So Daniel's he's been around for almost a decade now. Andrew has. Would you say that most guys come in, they're going to struggle at first?
Yeah, absolutely. If it's a complete newbie who's never done this before, whether it's learning the technology and messing up on some of the entry orders, or doing a limit when they want to do a stop. I mean, just basic things that just kind of rookie mistakes that'll come on board. I'll see winning positions turn into losers. That I mean, obviously everyone's got a different philosophy, but I never really like to see someone have a winner on and then just not manage that trade at all.
You see a lot of that, especially early on in someone's career.
Yeah. I see them get lucky. I see them not give trades a chance, or they scratch them too early, which is fine. But I mean, how are you ever going to get? If you're comfortable risking something when you're going into the trade, you got to let that risk happen sometimes. I know you want to be nimble and have a different, if your mindset changes and get out of a trade, but a lot of people second guessing themselves on their entries, and
Too much thinking. Too
Yeah.
much thinking going on and not
Yep.
enough reacting. So, all right, so guys open an account, they're expected to struggle. Do you talk to guys and you see you probably find a lot of it that they don't no idea what they're doing and they're going to put 20, 30, 50 grand in an account?
Yeah, and they don't want to. They don't want to talk either. That's the thing is, I don't want to talk to you. You're a broker. You want to just get paid on my trading and the type of money that a brokerage community makes off self-directed trader is not much. The CME I'd say is the one that's charging the majority of those fees, but they think that we're trying to sell them something or there's no value in having someone that's been around here for a while. So that's, to me, is a frustrating part of it. And then by the time that they raise their hand for help, it's sometimes too late, and they either blow themselves out or they're drawn down quite a bit in their account, and then you have to come in as the hero or the goat, and they put a lot of pressure on you. Is okay, fine, I'll let you help me out, and then you get like one trade and it's a scratch or a small loss. You're like, well, you're not any better than me, but it's a difficult when you get to that type of emotional person that's lost some money. It's almost best to just say, if you don't want to do this, it's best to walk away and rethink it and come back.
There's a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing, but they're gonna risk. That's fair to say. It's like you typically in Las Vegas, you don't see a lot of people going to a blackjack table and have no idea about the game. But is it fair
Yeah.
to say you get a lot of that in trading?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we get like an exorbitant amount of people that are just completely clueless to this, but there are people that are just like, wow, this guy really wants to trade online and he can't really even download a demo or get an email from me. Like, how's he ever going to really figure this out, but wants to do it? I mean, there's that caliber of an account, but I'd say, we try hard to the people that we bring on board at least have an interest or get them familiar with the markets. We're not going to try to open up accounts for people that are just, going to just do donation after donation. But if they want to do it and they have the right to do it, we'll bring them on board. But, there's a lot of people out there that I would say are not nearly as qualified as what you provide in your coursework and at least that type of training room aspect where you see it in real time and kind of learn it.
All right, so you see a guy come in and he's new, and should be interesting to everybody in this. This is a different kind of interview because it's with a broker, and we're used to talking to brokers, and we've got our hands up and our guard up. As Andrew kind of alluded to, is you're just a broker, and there's always that skepticism with what's he really going to tell me, and that's fair. I mean, it's fair, but this is cool because everybody could let their guard down. You're talking to someone who's been through the same course as you guys, and he's not selling you on anything. And anytime someone's selling you on something, there's a sense of having your guard up. I know I have my guard up with anybody trying to sell me anything. I don't care if it's in the trading world or outside of it. And so there's a reason to have it. Some skepticism, but at some point you got to trust and like and say, yeah, that makes sense. But a guy comes in, and this is, I think, an important question. A guy comes in, most of them are not really going to have a good chance to make money right away. It's unique a guy comes in, right, Andrew, and starts making money right away, and he's told you he's never traded before. That's pretty unique. It's not a transfer from another broker. He's brand new to the business. It's pretty unique. He starts making money right away.
Yeah, they have to. Those guys usually have some fundamental picture that they want to follow, or the hunch, and that's could be either a flip of a coin. But yeah, for the guy that wants to try to read charts and technically trade something, to just come in day one and start making money, it's not as often as someone that comes in and struggles for a while and then kind of figures it out.
All right, so that's pretty unique. Is there a point though? These guys come in. You pretty much know they're going to struggle. That doesn't mean fail first, but they're going to struggle. And not struggling is unique to everyone, meaning, some people not making money, but they're not losing money and they're struggling. In their opinion. Or they're making money but not as much as they thought they can make. They're struggling. All over the board. But most of them are coming in, they're not making money, they're losing money, they're certainly not meeting their goals, they're struggling. That's most of the guys that you're going to open up accounts over the last 9 years. Would you say, though, there's a point that you can identify when that guy turns the corner?
Yeah, it depends on how long of a leash they have and how disciplined they are up front. And if they're just, kind of gambling with their money, then those guys they lose and they're gone. But the guys that are serious about it, whether they come from your education or a different education program, or they're invested in some indicators and they learn the indicators, there's a learning period that you see where they're struggling with it, and then I've had, definitely see clients who've turned the corner, as you put it, and start doing well. Not to say that they don't have moments where they take bad trades or mess up or have to get back realigned, but yeah, I've seen some people really turn the corner on from where they were the first few months, and over trading, and not being in, I guess, letting positions ride or whatever their approach is, to looking at them now. They're trading with a little more discipline, more direction behind it. You can tell they're more comfortable.
Is there a moment, though, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, so take your time with it. But is there a moment where you like, this guy got it? Is it like one day where he got it, or one thing he didn't do, or any kind of like signal to let you know that he might not even know he turned the corner, but you as his broker maybe do because you've been watching him?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a moment. I can't really put a name to it or my hand on it, where I see a guy that just continually is losing, or is kind of spinning his wheels to finally, being on the right side of some trades and being done and showing some consistency. But a lot of these people I don't really talk to on a daily basis or get their mindsets, but it's more just going through positions that are in and seeing the risk that they have, and some, seeing the pedigree of someone that I don't have to consistently watch as much. I'd say is probably when I say this guy's gets it. He's more comfortable at it. He's not a red flag on my book of someone that's over leveraged or in a position of having a large blow up day. I mean, you still could, but I think that to me is the moment that I say someone kind of has gotten it.
Yeah, and the reason I bring this up is that sometimes it just happens. I mean, in a prop firm, a guy, there were guys and there were examples of guys that were on their last week, and they just turned the corner and became phenomenal traders. But the owner was giving them the trader probably didn't know this. The owner was giving him the last week of the month, and he was going to fire him. And he just turned the corner. And I remember talking, what is it that is, that it was to make it turn the corner? And it's really arbitrary, and it's hard to put your finger on it, even as a broker looking at traders, as the trader themselves who might have turned the corner. What was it? And people are always trying to find out, and it's a good thing to try to find out what it could be, because if you had it and it was real tangible, you could teach it easier, right? And here's what it is. Here's what it is. But it's hard for anyone to go back and say this is what it was. It just clicks, and it's hard to explain. But you got to have all the right resources and the right tools in order to give yourself a chance for it to click. And that's the problem, is people never give themselves a chance for it to click because they're always distracted. And they might even have the wrong tools. They might not even understand what a price ladder is and how to use it. I think it's silly, and that's why it's a lesson in one of the coaching classes. It's silly to make mistakes on limit orders and stop orders, and it's silly not to be a master of your dome that you're executing your money on. And demo and sim trading shouldn't be to practice a strategy. It should be to be good at entering orders, getting out of orders. Once in a while you slip and you click and you whatever, and you'll make a mistake. But it shouldn't be because you didn't know. And that's you said rookie mistake. I couldn't say it better. That's a rookie mistake that shouldn't be made. And if you had anything close to the proper training, that's the first thing you'll learn, the functionality of the book you're going to be engaged in. And that's oftentimes something people never learn, and never learn to get quick with that book, even if they're not going to trade quick. I want people to be quick on that book. Whether you're 80 or 8, I want you to trade fast practice, even though I necessarily wouldn't want you to trade fast once you're implementing your strategy. Another question real quick. Um, we covered that, and that was a good one. Don't open the account with what you plan on risking. If you could do it with more, you're in better shape. You had said to me, ES traders tend to start with smaller accounts. Is that true?
Yeah, that's the number one phoned in question is what's your minimum and what's your rate and what's your margin? And
What do you think when you hear that question? Oh boy, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think, obviously this guy doesn't trust himself, or he's trying to, this is gambling, or he's not really fully invested. I mean, I just think it's an odd question for someone that says they want to be a full-time trader and make a career about it. You're asking what the minimum is. If you even know how these markets work and the leverage associated with it, I just don't get it. So to me, it's a red flag. Either they're so green that they don't understand how it works, like they think it's like a forex account, or they just have been in situations where they are kind of they've lost money and now they're trying it again and trying to at least be a cowboy, like you said earlier. I just don't get it. It is a red flag, and obviously we have the minimums there, and we know that those people will open an account somewhere, so we try to help them out. We'll give them what they want if they want to be self-directed. But to me, as a broker, it's kind of the worst call-in I could get.
You had said, and this really clicked with me, make it real. Elaborate on that.
Yeah, it's something that I like to say to prospects who request every guide under the sun and need to read every book and need to just pick your brain over and over and over. My philosophy is make it real. Open an account. You don't have to trade. You don't have to put on risk, but put your own money in there, see the account, and know that at any point in time you could take on a position. You're going to start looking at things differently. You're going to feel, work some orders. Just get into the game and make it real by doing. That's something I try to encourage people that really they raise their hand for all of our offers and they say they want to do this. Then step up to the plate and make it real. Is kind of my call to action for them.
No, that's cool. I have brothers that they trade their stocks and or trade stocks, but not like I would trade futures or intraday stuff, but they're picking different stocks, and really when they make money it's more random than it is skill. But listening to them and how excited they are to put a position on, buy a stock and get out of it or make money or have it's cool because it's real to them. They're in a game and they're participating in something. And I never looked at it that way. Maybe I did early, but I've been doing it so long I don't look at it like that anymore because it's been real for so long. But it's a real exciting business. And those that they can't make a decision, you got to get over that. Start making decisions because that's what trades are. And if you can get good at making decisions in real life, you get better at making decisions as to whether or not to get in or out of a trade. Don't decide how long does it take you to decide what kind of pants to put on, what kind of shoes to wear. Be quicker about that, which direction to take. If it's taking you too long to decide which way to turn, that sucks. In order to try to be a better trader, you got to be quicker. If there's 4 people that go on a 4-way stop, the tie goes to you. That's my motto. That's my philosophy. The tie goes to me. I'm not waiting for people to react. I'm going to react. That's what I want people to do in their everyday life. Make decisions quicker, easier, diligently react to them. And I think that's cool. It makes it real. If everything you do in life has to do with trading and risk reward, you got a platform up, you got your charts up, you got your dome up, you know how to use it, you're involved in a program. That's pretty good. That is nicely said. Someone else mentioned. Let me just wind this up and ask a couple questions people have, and if you guys have questions for Andrew, ask them in this chat. I didn't want to, and we're not making it salesy, because that's not what it is. He's a friend of Market Delta and mine personally. He's an Edge member, and the only broker that does it. I don't push people necessarily. The only time someone will say, hey, what broker do you like? That's when I'll say, well, go to this Andrew Daniels because he is he's more than a broker. He's got more market awareness than any other broker that I really have come across. Let me ask a couple questions, if you don't mind, Andrew, do you, from these guys?
Yeah, no problem.
Josh also likes the four-way stop analogy. So that's the new rule for Edge members. If you're on a four-way stop, the tie goes to you. And if the guy yells and flips you off, tell him that you're in the Edge.
Finally broke through that 1925.
Oh, my God, was that terrible. Were you in the room today?
I wasn't. I had some other.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I thought you were because that was just a level that was so damn stubborn the whole session.
Yeah, I've been watching it all morning too. Just I guess because you've groomed me on what to look at and kind of just know that.
So Tom brings up a good point. He says it's fixing the person's number one problem that allows them to turn the corner, and everybody has a different number one problem. And I think that's a cool way to say it. Do you recommend education to new customers? Or are you not maybe allowed to based on the regulatory environment that brokers are under?
We don't have any partners with education per se. I recommend that you understand the dynamics of what the markets are, but every education program out there, I think, always starts off with the same thing. I'm not saying this is the Edge by any means, but the ones that are just people come to me and say, oh, I'm doing this. You learn what the markets are, how they function, how to essentially look at the different contracts, the hours, the margins. I mean, the specifics. I mean, seems like every major course teaches that. Then after that, it's just it should be looking at some signals or some type of 2 to 3 signals, whether it's volume analysis or some type of indicator that you just got to be comfortable looking at. And I think over time you get comfortable doing that, you can hopefully develop a plan. But there's no real holy grail out there. And as Anthony always says about himself is, don't trade like me, think like me. And I think you got to look at it, all those different approaches out there with that outlook. So I recommend having some type of, I guess, education, if you will. I really gravitated what Anthony did in the room because he's giving you real-time commentary over the market and what his mind is thinking. That, to me, you can't get that in a textbook. You can't do that demo trading on your own unless you're starting to emulate someone who did that. But that, to me, is the best kind of education out there. And I've found that people just call in and talk to, like myself or a broker, about thinking like that throughout the day to be better than getting a textbook or something like that. So that's how I view education. If someone asks me, is there anyone I recommend, I would say it depends on what type of trading you want to do, something like the Edge. Otherwise, just talk to me on a daily basis on kind of a mindset.
Yeah, because you could give them education, and that education stunk. It's not like you got accredited colleges that you just say, this is a good college for that, this is a good college for this. It's just, and a lot of times people will misuse education. You don't know how they're going to use it. And the specs, that everyone should know what the specs are. I think and it's not, but they should know that like in 1 hour. The hours of a market, when it trades, the tick size, what a tick is, the incremental. If I buy one here and sell it there, I lose or make $12.50, whatever. Those things got to be known right away, and I think that's what's most important. Here's a good question Jim asks. What methods / indicators do your more successful customers use, or do you know? Is there kind of like a popular? Do you have a collection of successful customers?
Yeah, I think it varies at certain times of market conditions. But yeah, there's people that definitely are on the right side of the trades. I think a lot of them gravitate to obviously being able to look at multiple type of charts. You know where your dailies are and your weeklies and some of the moving averages. Know that those are nothing that can help you looking forward, but as psychological numbers out there. Have some way of seeing where volume is coming in, what you teach in the room. I like seeing where volume is coming in and where the buyers and sellers are coming in, and that's why I think the Edge and the Market Delta tools have really helped me is seeing where it depends on your time frame, but where these traders are potentially getting long, and if that high is rejected, and now we're going to come down pretty hard. So trying to pinpoint those moments and having the ability to do that. So I think it's a combination of volume, a short-term time frame where you're seeing it real close, and then also knowing, a bigger picture like dailies and weekly lines, because when those start coming into play, if you have buy or sell signals based on those, you want to anticipate that and hopefully try to jump the gun and catch those when maybe some stops are being triggered, when like a new low is coming out, and that's where everyone's buy stops are. You want to be short going into that.
Short term is probably the blank in most people's skill set, right? So they could fill out some skills they have at reading dailies and weeklies and monthlies and signals, and then when it gets down to the present, the short term, where are those guys, right? Where are these guys? Are they stuck here? What are they thinking? And that's what I try to help people, is the short term view to execute any time frame. And when you get into that, you get more comfortable. I want to get back to the market, and I think you guys do too. But Andrew, I appreciate you. I know you came last year, and I appreciate you coming back. Now, there are guys that have asked or will ask about him and about going to Daniels. Just don't peruse around the website and go to any old broker. If you're going to go to Daniels, go to Andrew, but specifically reach out to him, or tell me about it, and I'll put you in touch with him, or vice versa. But that's if you're interested. Anyways, I don't know if there's too many guys in here that don't have brokers, but there's always guys that are unhappy with brokers, because I'm telling you, most brokers, I didn't know this. I'll tell the quick story. Out of a prop firm, you don't have a broker. Your prop firm has a broker. I don't deal with them, right? Everything comes out. You never talk to a broker. I didn't know what they were. When I left and went on my own as self-directed, the guy that was my broker I thought was just an office guy, managed and opened the doors and was the janitor. I really did. I thought he was the guy who just cleaned up the office, let guys in. This is a satellite office we rented space from. He ended up being a broker. And I asked him a question, Andrew. I says, could you give me the commission on the Boone and Bobble? This was early when I started. 3 days go by, he didn't give me an answer. I forgot I asked the question. Could you imagine that? When someone asks you about the commission rates on a certain product, they're already a customer, that means that they might want to trade it, right? You could probably quote it to them live, let alone 3 days, right? Would you let 3 days pass?
No, I mean, that's the number one thing that people have said working with me is I'm just instantly communicating with them. So that's shocking that would take that long.
So that was my first interaction with brokers. Then he left, and I get a new guy, and I'm thinking, okay, this guy took over his book. He was worse. I was like,
oh man,
so that could be. It was, and that was just like the business. Now they're not all like that, and obviously they're not all real bad, but they're not all real good. And that is one of the things I noticed from Andrews early on. We did some webinars together. His emails almost is like he's sitting on his email account. Bam, it comes right back, and it's impressive. I'm a lot like that, not as quick, but I don't like when people leave me messages and I haven't gotten back to it. And you're the same way. It's like someone's got a question. Sometimes it's a question that could wait. It's not even a customer. It could be a family member, but you're just used to getting back to them. I don't think many people have that experience with brokers, that they get back to them right away. So I think that's cool that you have that. But thanks again for dropping in. You obviously got a room pass to come in whenever. If there's any questions for you, I'll forward them on to you. Andrew, but I appreciate it, and everybody's kind of saying thank you in the chat box as well.
Great. Well, I'm glad to be here, and like Anthony said, if you ever want to chat with me, reach out to him, and he can get you connected. But thanks again. Big fan of the Edge and what Anthony's doing, so I hope you guys appreciate that. Talk to you later.
We do. All right, Andrew. Thanks again. All right, guys. I'm going to stop the recording for now.